August 19, 1944, Wehrmacht headquarters, East Prussia. General Oberst Alfred Jodl reviewed intelligence reports. His staff calculated the mathematics of Allied supply lines stretching over 400 miles from Normandy. The Americans have outrun their logistics. Patton will halt within days, perhaps hours. No army can sustain such advanced speeds without fuel. The calculation was inescapable. What Jodl didn't know was that 125 miles away, 5,958 trucks were already rolling eastward. The Red Ball Express carried 12,500 tons of supplies every 24 hours in endless convoy. Headlights blazing in defiance of military doctrine. A logistics operation so audacious Germans never conceived it. Within 72 hours, Patton's supposedly immobilized tanks would crash through German positions at the Seine. Within a week, they would liberate Paris. Within a month, they would stand at the German border. The Wehrmacht's finest military minds were about to receive a lesson in American logistics. Delivered by 23,000 truck drivers, 75% of them African American, who turned highways into history. The German General Staff's confidence stemmed from decades of military experience and recent observations. In Russia, the Wehrmacht's advance had foundered not from Soviet resistance, but from supply failures. German trucks broke down on Russian roads. Horse-drawn wagons couldn't match Panzer spearhead speeds. The Americans faced the same logistical impossibility we faced. History teaches us what comes next: paralysis. German intelligence meticulously tracked American consumption rates. A single Sherman tank burned fuel at alarming speeds. Patton commanded 12 divisions advancing on a 60-mile front. The mathematics seemed irrefutable: 12,000 tons daily. Even if Americans possessed unlimited trucks and perfect roads, they still couldn't sustain Patton's advance. At 2 p.m. on August 25, 1944, Lieutenant Colonel Ayers faced a room full of skeptical officers. "We're going to create a one-way highway. Every vehicle runs 20 hours out of 24. No stopping except for gas and emergencies. We'll move 12,500 tons daily minimum." The name came from railway terminology. Red Ball freight meant express priority. The technical specifications defied German military doctrine. 24-hour operations with headlights blazing, abandoning blackout discipline. Colonel Thrasher reviewed the numbers. 140 truck companies, 5,958 vehicles operating at 90% availability. Impossible by any textbook. Yet within 36 hours, the impossible was operational. On August 26th, drivers climbed into their trucks. The GMC CCKW 2.5-ton trucks, nicknamed the Deuce and a Half, loaded with artillery shells bound for Patton's guns. The demographic composition would have stunned German racial theorists. 75% were African American soldiers in a segregated army. These men who couldn't eat in white restaurants back home were keeping the most celebrated white general's army in motion. Drivers developed their own culture within hours. They painted slogans on their trucks: Patton's Blood Bank, Hitler Here We Come. They created their own traffic rules. Slower vehicles pulled off immediately. Mechanical failures pushed into ditches. By August 28th, German reconnaissance units began reporting something unprecedented: continuous vehicle column, headlights visible for 20 kilometers. This violated everything German military doctrine taught. Headlights at night invited air attack. Continuous columns presented perfect artillery targets. Yet the Americans seemed unconcerned. Where German doctrine emphasized concealment, Americans relied on volume and overwhelming force. The numbers achieved by the Red Ball Express defied German calculations. First week, 89,939 tons of supplies delivered. German logistics specialists captured these numbers from American documents and dismissed them as propaganda. But the numbers were real. By September 5th, the Red Ball Express had established a rhythm. Convoys departed every 5 minutes, 67 vehicles each. Average convoy, 67 vehicles. Load per vehicle: 5 tons standard, 7 tons frequent overload. Time to cover: 350 miles, 14 hours average. When trucks broke down, approximately 1,800 daily, mobile maintenance units performed repairs on the roadside in 15 minutes or pushed them off. Engines were swapped in 45 minutes using mobile cranes. Parts were cannibalized from vehicles deemed unrepairable. The Germans, observing this chaos that somehow produced order, couldn't comprehend it. Americans violated every principle, yet succeeded through sheer volume. The most stunning revelation for German observers was American fuel management. The Red Ball consumed 300,000 gallons daily just for its own operations. Forward fuel dumps were established every 25 miles. Tanker trucks ran their own parallel convoy system, ensuring no vehicle waited more than 10 minutes. The Red Ball Express didn't just supply Patton's advance, it multiplied its speed exponentially. Divisions averaged 40 to 60 miles daily for weeks. On September 1st, the 4th Armored Division advanced 67 miles in a single day. This shattered German defensive planning. General Guderian, reviewing the reports, initially refused to believe them. No armored force can advance 60 miles daily for a week. This is propaganda, but intercepted American radio traffic confirmed it. More disturbing, the Americans were broadcasting their positions openly without code, supremely confident. The Red Ball Express drivers paid a physical price German observers couldn't see. Drivers operated for 72 straight hours, hallucinating from exhaustion. Accidents killed 300 drivers in the Red Ball's operational period. Trucks collided in fog, overturned on damaged roads, burned when engines ignited, yet morale remained extraordinarily high. These men understood they were making history, proving Hitler's racial theories wrong with every mile driven. Captured German officers provided eloquent testimony. "We knew we'd lost when we understood your supply system. You violate every rule, yet succeed." The vehicles themselves amazed German engineers. The GMC CCKW represented mass production perfection. General Motors produced over 500,000 of these trucks. The trucks featured innovations Germans hadn't implemented. All-wheel drive as standard, automatic tire inflation, waterproofing, allowing 30-inch fording. American maintenance philosophy, where Germans rebuilt engines, Americans replaced them. Where Germans rationed parts, Americans discarded entire vehicles for minor problems. As the front moved east, the Red Ball Express adapted with speed that stunned German planning officers accustomed to weeks of preparation. When the original route became insufficient, Americans created Red Ball Express extensions overnight. White Ball, Green Diamond, Red Lion, ABC routes. The predominance of African American drivers created cognitive dissonance for German racial theorists. Nazi ideology declared blacks inferior, incapable of technical tasks. Yet these drivers were performing logistics miracles that German forces couldn't match. Every mile they drove proved Hitler wrong. Some German prisoners working alongside African American sergeants found their worldview shattered. These men calculated weight distributions faster than German engineers. The Red Ball Express required infrastructure Germans deemed impossible under combat conditions. Engineers built 40 bridges while the operation was running. The bridge at Montereau had been destroyed by German engineers to halt American logistics. American engineers built a temporary bridge in 14 hours. One Red Ball achievement particularly stunned German artillery officers: ammunition supply rates that exceeded their highest theoretical calculations. During the reduction of Metz fortifications, the 99th Corps artillery fired 100,000 rounds in 24 hours. The Red Ball delivered every round plus 20% surplus. German artillery defending Metz was rationed to 50 rounds per gun per day. The disparity was overwhelming. American guns fired continuously for hours. The Red Ball Express consumed vehicles at rates that would have paralyzed any other military. Average vehicle life: 10,000 miles instead of normal 30,000. Daily deadline rate: 30% of all vehicles. Engines replaced: 500 weekly. Tires consumed: 10,000 weekly. Yet the operation never slowed. German calculations showed Americans destroying more trucks weekly than the Wehrmacht possessed in France. Yet their transport capacity increased rather than decreased. French civilians along the Red Ball route witnessed American abundance that contradicted years of German occupation. Scarcity. The psychological impact was immediate. Red Ball drivers shared their rations with French civilians despite regulations. Every stop, children gathered and drivers gave them chocolate, cigarettes, soap. German intelligence reported the propaganda impact. French civilians now believe American victory inevitable. They cite the truck convoys as proof. In early September 1944, the Red Ball Express faced its greatest challenge. Patton's Third Army had advanced so far that even the Red Ball struggled. The round trip now exceeded 700 miles. Drivers were collapsing, vehicles disintegrating. German intelligence detected the strain. This is our opportunity, but American adaptability again surprised the Germans. Within 72 hours, the Red Ball Express reorganized, created intermediate transfer points, cutting individual runs to 350 miles, implemented driver rotation systems, established forward maintenance bases, doubled the number of assigned vehicles. By September 12th, tonnage delivery had actually increased. The crisis that should have halted Patton only made the system stronger. Supplementing the Red Ball, Americans implemented large-scale aerial supply. On September 16th, Wehrmacht observers counted 900 transport flights in a single day, delivering 2,700 tons by air. The Luftwaffe at its peak managed 300 tons daily to Stalingrad. The Americans used transport aircraft like trucks. No fighter escort concerns, no fuel limitations. They assumed losses and overwhelmed them with numbers. Desperately, German forces attempted to create their own version during the Battle of the Bulge. Operation Greif included plans for captured American trucks. The effort failed immediately. German drivers couldn't maintain American speeds. German mechanics couldn't repair American equipment fast enough. German fuel supplies couldn't sustain the consumption rates. Most fundamentally, Germans couldn't replicate the American attitude of unlimited resources. Oberst commanding the operation reported, "We captured 50 American trucks. Within a week, 30 were deadlined. Americans would have replaced them. We tried to repair them. That difference explains our defeat." The winter of 1944-45 provided the Red Ball Express's ultimate test. Freezing rain, snow, and ice should have stopped wheeled transport. Yet the Red Ball continued. Drivers wrapped chains on tires, poured alcohol in radiators, kept rolling. Speeds dropped from 35 to 15 miles per hour, but tonnage delivery continued. German observers reported ice-covered convoys moving through blizzards that had stopped panzer divisions. Americans had created a logistics system that functioned regardless of weather. In November 1944, with rail lines restored, the Red Ball Express was officially discontinued. The operation that was supposed to last 10 days had continued for 82 days. Final statistics: 412,193 tons of supplies delivered, 222 million ton miles, 23,000 drivers employed, 82 days of continuous operation. Reviewing these figures in captivity, German officers admitted they had calculated American logistics based on European precedent. They were wrong by a factor of 10. Beyond tonnage and distance, the Red Ball Express destroyed German faith in their own military superiority. Excellence defeating prejudice through performance. When German generals surrendered in May 1945, many cited the Red Ball Express specifically as demonstrating the hopelessness of continued resistance. Field Marshal Model wrote in his final report, "We were not defeated by American tanks or planes primarily. We were defeated by American trucks." The Red Ball Express forced an unexpected racial reckoning within the American military. African American soldiers had proved what they always knew. Given the tools and opportunity, they would match anyone. An unexpected consequence was the revolutionary impact on post-war civilian logistics. Red Ball veterans founded trucking companies and designed interstate highways, creating modern American logistics. Military historians universally recognize the Red Ball Express as the decisive logistics operation of the European theater. Without it, Patton's advance stops. Paris falls weeks later. The operation validated American military doctrine that emphasized logistics over tactics. While German officers studied Clausewitz and battlefield maneuver, Americans studied Detroit assembly lines. In 1994, on the 50th anniversary, the United States Postal Service issued a commemorative stamp honoring the Red Ball Express. Veterans spoke of their pride in proving American determination. The Red Ball Express proved that in modern warfare, logistics is not support, it is the main effort. Industrial democracy mobilized resources on a scale totalitarian efficiency couldn't match. The highways of France still bear the scars, but the greatest monument is the speed of Allied victory. The Red Ball Express shortened the war by months, saving thousands of lives. 23,000 truck drivers who revolutionized warfare at 35 miles per hour.